Hello everyone! Welcome to our very first Pitchside. Essentially, this is a casual format for members of the Sorare team to speak with the community and offer context on important updates. And now, we're extremely excited to announce our most ambitious Sorare Pro gameplay update. In August, we're bringing a clear path for progression through a division structure that is more rewarding in a big way. Let's get into it.
I'm joined by Nico and Guy. Before we kick off into what is happening, I think Nico can speak a little bit about Division and then Guy can introduce himself.
Thank you, Dan. We are very excited to announce what is probably the biggest update in the history of the company. This is an update that I'm very excited about, that is rooted in the community and for the community. That has been our North Star when building everything that we're going to share today. The community, their feedback, their need. We spend lots of time thinking about the future and thinking about three big principles as well. One which is building a new gameplay that is rewarding, building a new gameplay that is simpler, and building a new gameplay for Sorare Pro that is also enabling progression, right? So that's these principles have been at the key of what we've been building.
Great, thanks Nico, and maybe Guy, you can introduce yourself. I think you're a little more unfamiliar to some of the community.
Yeah, for sure. So hello everyone. So I'm very excited to be sharing gameplay updates with you all. So I'm Guy, product manager here at Sorare. Before that, like 3 years ago, before joining the company, I actually used to be a Sorare player and manager. I've played in the Rare division and also even a little bit of the Super Rare. And also I'm a pretty big fanatic of Fantasy Premier League, so I've been playing for the last 10 years. Have ranked consistently in the top 1% recently. And yeah, so I'm very excited to be chatting about everything around fantasy and the gameplay that we have in the works.
Thanks Guy, that was some nice flexing there. For some of the old school community members, you may remember for a little bit we ran a series on Reddit called Data Guy or Data Guy. So that was actually written by Guy. We'll bring that back eventually when we have other priorities. So let's move on. So quickly to recap what Nico said.
Our vision for August delivers the following gameplay pillars. It's more rewarding, we simplify, and there is an engaging path for progression. Sorare Pro 24 is your journey rewarded. Let's kick off and see how we're going to achieve this.
No, it's a very important question. I think when I think about timing, I wanted to do two things. Number one is to do an update and give a heads up that is big enough for the community to adjust, right? So that has been like the first thinking, and aligning it ideally with the launch of the European season when it comes to football. And number two, my second priority was to honor the existing community and to offer a transition period for them. So these principles have been at the center of how we thought about the timing. And I would add a third principle about the wino, which is being ready. Being ready, because when you announce such an important update, you need to take the time to make it right. So there's no deadline. We want to make it right, and to make it right, you need to spend a lot of time with the community. So we did lots of user interview, lots of modeling on the new model to make sure that this is something stable. I think this is something that is important for the community, that I've heard a lot. Like, you want to have visibility on the future, and so this is something that we are bringing to the table today.
Great. Yeah, I think to add to that as well, in the blogs you'll find details of our commitment to seasonality and when we'll make these changes. You know, it's kind of based around a lot of how the biggest game studios operate, and we want to commit to those kind of small windows where we can make changes, so managers who like to think long term with their clubs can do so. I think now we're ready to kind of kick off into the details. So Guy, maybe you can introduce, walk us through kind of the biggest changes that are coming in August.
Yeah, for sure. I think we can first start with the, why is it rewarding, and start with the fundamental of what we're trying to achieve, right, with our gameplay. So our goal really is always to try to maintain a high level of rewards that is satisfying to managers, right? While remaining sustainable as a business. And also one important thing that we want to keep always in mind is we want to keep the DNA of Sorare, which is giving lifetime utility to cards, meaning when they play on the field and they haven't retired yet, your card should still be usable there, right?
Let's first look at how we are making Sorare more rewarding. Following a series of successful competition iterations, we will move to an in-season and classic season structure in August 24. In-season cards are player cards from the ongoing season. Classic season cards are player cards from previous seasons. Our new competition structure will have in-season competitions and classic season competitions. Guy will now explain how these two formats help build a rewarding and sustainable loop for our community.
Let's take a look at the loop that it builds. So you'll be able to use those classic cards to win in-season cards, and then with those in-season cards, you'll be able to win cash. This helps us stay sustainable and lets us increase our cash prize pools for our community as our revenue grows.
Yep, so it helps us to really maintain this, what was in our DNA, which is, this dream of exciting rewards, while also, being sustainable and tying the rewards we give out to our revenue.
Exactly. Now, to go beyond, and again, on the point of keeping the DNA of lifetime utility, so we are going beyond in those in-season competitions. We are allowing at least one or two slots for classic cards. Why are we doing this? It's because we want to reward you for, if you have scouted a good player that made it, to the top. We want to keep you a slot where you can still play these cards. And we also want to let you play, your favorite cards that, you bought previously. We want you to be able to play it in any type of competition, whether classic or in season. So that's very so important.
Yeah, we want to keep the kind of the magic part of Sorare, which is the stories that, managers build around a player that they might have followed, from the age that player was 17, 18 all the way through, and it gives them that utility for the duration of their career.
This also allows us to increase card rewards in classic competitions. Here's an example.
Then let's move on now to the kind of competition structure. Like in-season and classic season are essentially mirrored competitions. They have the same structure, but this segues us nicely into the Simplified side of things.
Exactly. So indeed, I think today our competition structure is very complex, right? It's very rigid. Like at the very beginning, we started with something simple when you only had a few clubs. So we only had a few competitions, a few regions. And then as we signed more clubs, more leagues, we started to add more and more types of competitions, right? And so we got to a state where the regions, for example, we have many of them. Also, it doesn't sometimes make sense. The leagues that are in those regions, like they don't have the same skill level. So what we set out to do is to really try to simplify, solve all these problems and offer a very clear and simple competition structure that people can relate to even in real life, right? So that when new users come, they have something that is a bit more relatable to what's happening in the real world of football.
I think it's, sorry to interrupt you, Guy, but I think it's a very important point because when you, as a new user, when you jump into Sorare, you have many concepts to learn. And I think we want to reduce that as much as possible, right? And so we have a competition structure that mirrors the one that we have in real football. You remove run, right? And so now you can focus on what you call the DNA of Sorare, which is okay. Like discounts, you own them, you can trade them, which is not possible in other games or video games. You can resell them, you can use them for for many seasons. Like all these things that are unique to Sorare, like you can focus on this as opposed to explaining too many things, basically. So I think it's a point that is worth highlighting, I guess.
So we want to simplify and more accurately reflect real-world football. So what we have is 7 core competitions with simple rules. We'll start with the first 3, which are the 3 top leagues, Premier League, Bundesliga, and La Liga, and we picked those because they're licensed. Then, for the next 3, we're moving from a regional-based competition structure to a tier-based competition structure. So we'll have 3 competition tiers, where we place leagues based on their coefficient strength. And finally, we have under 23, which is loved by all managers.
Let's move on quickly as well to an important update that's key to also this new structure.
All card scarcities, pro cards, are eligible for competitions below their scarcity. For example, in the Premier League Rare competition, you can use rare, super rare, and unique cards. Previous scarcity bonus rules and mixed scarcity competitions were introduced as an opportunity for managers to progress across scarcities. Rare Plus was there to help managers to progress from rare to super rare. This didn't happen because super rare competitions were not rewarding enough to move up. Our new rules and competition format greatly helps managers progressing up across scarcities.
What that does is it means that if you're slowly progressing through to a higher scarcity, you no longer have these cards kind of sitting on the side waiting until you have a full lineup to be able to compete in rare or into super rare. Essentially, while you're starting to get to move into the new scarcity, you can use those cards and get familiar with them. Yeah, and honestly, I'm quite excited by that.
Yeah, and what this means is that we are replacing two competitions that were initially introduced for progression, Rare Plus and Kickoff, with the new simplified structure that allows for mixed scarcity at every scarcity level.
And then to touch on the cleaner structure, maybe Nico can explain why that's also important for future growth and maybe future plans we might have for Sorare.
Yeah, no, I think as I was saying just before, it's important because it mirrors the real world of football, right? And so it's easier to click to onboard new users. I think it's also easier to market with our partner, and so like relying on them and having them even more, because they're going to be even more involved in developing the product with us and integrating them into their channels and so on. I think it's a big plus in that regard.
Yeah, and Nico and Guy and I were kind of talking about this at the start. Was I joined about 3 years ago as well, and one of the big things that we started using kind of as a tagline at that time was, Sorare as the global fantasy football game. It still is that, and it was a good way to market at that time because, die-hard football fans found that a really engaging concept. But if we want to grow and kind of reach a wider football audience, that shouldn't be the entry point. It should be where you come into Sorare and you play with players that you're familiar with, competing against managers who are also playing with teams that you're familiar with, so you know what your competition is. And then once you want to dig deeper into the underbelly of what it means to be a Sorare manager, at least you have like a solid foundation to explore.
Just to make it clear, like we are committed to the depth of our portfolio of partnerships, more than 300. We are committed to leagues that have been with us for a long time, like the G League, the Pro League, the K League, and many others. But at the same time, as you said, like a lot of the comments I've seen on user research is like new users like about to convert but not converting because they believe that to be good at Sorare, you need to master like all the leagues and leagues that they are not familiar with. And this feeling was probably like partly due to the competition structure, partly true. Like if you want to be good at All-Star, like it's better to have like a deep knowledge, right? And so I think this is something that we are addressing with the new competition structure.
Great.
I want to also touch on one last point for the competition structure, which is the hierarchy aspect of it. So, I mean, as you can see, like there is a bit of hierarchy where the top players, top leagues are more at the top, which would be more rewarding. And the reason why we want to do this is that we want to celebrate, managers that are able to scout players also from the bottom leagues, like a player say that comes from the J League. And if they sign up for the Premier League, like this should be celebrated.
You want to reward that, like, which is something that was very frustrating, I guess, to me, but many others.
Yeah.
Like your player is moving to a top club, and you are not rewarded for.
You
that.
are even disappointed into this gameplay, which is counterintuitive to what happens in the real world of football.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, it kind of goes back to Nico's tweet: star players becoming star players. That a lot of our managers have been quoting. Okay, so that's the simplicity. We also discussed the kind of the reward and structure at the start. Let's talk a little bit more about the progression. So why we're calling, Sorare 24-25 your journey rewarded. Progression is something that's become at times a little bit of a meme within the Sorare community, because we've spoken about it a lot. And I think, well, I know now we've actually found the solution and we're tackling it in, I think, our most ambitious way possible. So Guy, I think, take it away from there.
So there was a lot of thoughts put into this one. What we want to do is we want to ensure that managers are playing against managers at the same level. We also want to avoid leaderboards that are pretty bloated and big. So in some leaderboards today, you see 20,000 of participants all mixed up. And finally, one important thing is today we feel the gameplay is stale in a way where you come in every game week, you submit a lineup, you're either able to win a reward or not, and that's it. Things reset, there is nothing that carries over from one game week to another. So we're proposing a system of division where managers are up for promotion or relegation every game week. Now, as you move up the divisions, the prize pool on offer are more exciting, and if you perform at the very top division, it would unlock access to special championships.
Nico, you can tease a little bit more about what Guy suggested about this climbing the top division ranks might open the door to something new.
Yeah, no, I think it's something that in my mind, like we want to bring, and so has been missing in the previous gameplay, is something aspirational at the top, right? Like, okay, so what happens if during like 3-6 months you are doing really good in the tournaments you love to play? What does it unlock, right? Like on top of your manager profile and trophies, celebrate status, and so on, what does it unlock, right? And so we believe that having kind of flagship competition that is unlocked to the best of the best and offer the best of the best in terms of rewards is something that could be very exciting. And so this is what we are going to do with the championship, and so we're going to share more details about this very soon.
Okay, so quickly to summarize this part of kind of progression, there'll be a division structure, but on top of that, we've moved down from 13 to 7 competitions. We should also talk about multi-entry.
Yep, indeed. So as you said, like to simplify, we had to reduce the core competitions, keep things simple. So in order to keep the car marginal utility as much as it was before, we are opening multi-entry so that you can still use the cars that were playing in other competition that were removed. So that's really one of the first reasons. And then the second one is that also we believe that a lot of managers are interested only in specific leagues and they want to play it much more deeply. So this kind of multi-entry way lets you play multiple lineups, multiple teams in a specific competition that you love, say the La Liga one, and be able to enjoy it more.
Yeah, so it's as you said, Guy, like something that users want to do, like be deeper in a competition. To be totally transparent, but I think it's obvious as well. It's something that users want and that is good for us as a business. So that's something that should be beneficial to all of us. And so we are also very excited about this, and we took some time to balance this to make it right in terms of number of entries that are possible and so on. Yeah,
so it's definitely not going to be uncapped. Of course, there will be a cap to the multi-entries. Like we don't want someone to just enter a lot of lineups and hope for the best. This remains a very skilled game, and yes, we will share more.
And I think, on my side, where I like to set myself weird challenges within games I play, it gives opportunities to create multiple teams with different personalities and challenges. So you might set yourself, your own under 23 challenge within, say, for example, the Premier League, or you might try to hit Division 1 with Irish players only. Good luck with that. Something that's definitely worth talking about as well is what's going to happen, with Special Weeklies. With this new structure, the weekends, almost take a new life. It's a new level of excitement, and at the same time, the midweek game weeks will also become more exciting. We're going to become a lot more ambitious with what we do with Special Weeklies. There will be one-off competitions that happen, on the Tuesday to Friday game week, and the ideas will not limit us. I think there's a lot of stuff bouncing around. Maybe Nico can share a little bit about how they might work.
No, I think the point is to make the best of football, the best of in our product as well, right? And so I think some of these midweek competitions with Champions League game were not played by like an important part of the community, and I think that's something we want to fix. We want to celebrate, and so we want these moments to be like some of the best moments on the platform, right? And so I think the new competition structure will allow that, and I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, and to add on top, like, this also brings a bit of dynamicity to our game today. Dynamism to our game. So because it's pretty static, where most of the time it's the same competitions that are opened. Also, it didn't make sense that, say, in the mid-game week you had Champion Europe open when there was Champions League playing. So you could have Champions League teams playing while, say, a game in Serie A is being played. These are players are playing in the same competition. So that didn't make a lot of sense. Also, like you're playing a Champions League game and you're getting rewarded a Serie A player from a bottom half team did not make sense. So this solves all these problems, at once.
Yeah, and then we'll be sharing all the kind of eligibility requirements for all these different competitions and when we open and when they're not open in our blogs. But I think let's move on now to how are we getting to August. So Guy and Nico both touched on this, that there's going to be a transition period.
We put a lot of thoughts into our transition state so that we can honor you, our community, in the best way possible. So everything that we talked about goes fully live in August. Now, first off, starting today, we're delighted to open the in-season and classic season PL competition. On March 29, a part of the new competition structure will be live. So we'll have the 3 tier-based competitions: Champions, Challenger, and Contender. And then we are also keeping the global and cap competitions until August to give our managers more time to adapt their strategies. And as for competitions that are no longer permanent, the rewards are reallocated to the prize pools for competitions that are in place. And you'll still definitely see a lot of those cap competitions, global competition, through the special weeklies that we describe, because there's going to be much more of them through most of the mid-game weeks and also sometimes in weekends.
Yeah, that's it. Like we're not saying goodbye to these competitions or anything like that. They're just going to take a new kind of life form. They won't be permanent in kind of August vision, but they will appear, and be part of your kind of monthly strategies.
Correct, yeah, and it will match more what's happening in the real life.
Yeah, they'll be more reflective of the football calendar. To kind of facilitate the extension of in-season competitions and part of this transition, some competitions will no longer be permanent. What that means is they will definitely reappear in the form of special weeklies, built around so that they complement the football calendar and the fixtures that are happening in the midweek game weeks. Maybe to touch on quickly on why certain parts of the competition structure changes in March 29th as part of our transition, and it's a strategic approach.
Yeah, no, it's a strategic approach. We want to make sure that the transition is perfect, that we again give enough time to the community to adjust, and also honor some members of the community who made some purchases to play specifically these competitions.
Okay, great. And then I think from there we can move into Cap 240 specifically, because there's, in terms of how we're transitioning, we put a huge amount of thought into this one, and there is going to be a fun transition state for Cap 240.
Yeah, and let's talk a bit about the state of the Cap 240 today. Like, an important number is that today 75% of the ETH payouts are exclusively being given in this one competition, which is the Cap 240. And if we remember why we actually implemented the Cap 240 in the first place, it was one, to give tier 2, tier 3 utility, so more utility to a broader set of cards. 2 is that with more participants in competition, we had a lower reward rate that was available to users, so we wanted to make something more attainable for the user. We wanted to celebrate good performances from users who are doing well, but not at the top. And so what we wanted to do is to give a reward that helps you strengthen your gallery and be able to progress so that the next time you're trying to fight for the top, which has the best rewards, right? So today's numbers show that we need to actually make some adjustments to this competition in order to achieve the competition structure that we're aiming to go for.
Okay, great. Thanks, Guy. And to give a little more context, so the 75% cash payouts that Guy was talking about, these will be moved to fund and support the in-season competitions, and also exciting podium places in classic season and in-season competitions. So like that won't disappear. Those payouts won't disappear essentially. Now let's talk about the transition state for Cap 240, because as you said, in-season competitions will kick off in March. What are we going to do with Cap 240?
Indeed. So the goal for the transition period is that we are able to reallocate a portion of the Cap 240 payouts towards those competitions. But we're also very aware that certain number of managers have bought cards to play this Cap 240 competition. So we will keep the other portion from now till August, where managers can play an updated version of this Cap 240, which is more exciting because it actually allows managers to, very adventurous managers that think they can beat the game even more than before, to have access to better rewards than before.
Yeah, I can explain if you like quickly. So essentially it's like a select your target and hit that target. And that competition will be open at the same frequency as it currently is. And it gives managers like a fun choice between, something that's a little easier to hit, something that's kind of mid-level or high level. A bit like a game, easy mode, medium mode, hard mode. And it's a fun beat the game concept. I think we also want to highlight that, Cap 240 will no longer be a permanent competition in August, but we are working on a kind of new beat the game concepts, and it will sometimes return in maybe the form of a special weekly or something like that. I think we can maybe talk a little bit more about beat the games, maybe what we will do with a future beat the game concept.
Yeah, no, for sure. And if we remember the goals of what we want to do with beat the game, because we want the best rewards to be at the top, as we said. And then we want the beat the game one to give utility for tier 2, tier 3 cards, right? We want user to have an attainable score to get to in order, to win a reward. And that reward, what's supposed to do is to help you strengthen your gallery and make you progress to get to the top, right? So what we're exploring are 3 paths. We have the first path, which is the challenges, where we already put in place some challenges that you can see in the manager profile. These challenges will actually tend the turn of, an example of it would be score 2 decisive score with one lineup, and then you're able, to win a specific reward. Yeah, exactly. And so you can win a reward box that itself can contain cards, credit, etc. that helps you progress in the game. Second thing is live ops events, so whether through the form of special weeklies or other, where you're able, to win items that make you progress in the game. And then finally, we have also, because we want to, continue giving a long tail of rewards in all the core competition, so we want more people to have access to more rewards, we will ensure that there is some form of rank or score threshold, which gives you access to, a reward box that could contain, items that help you progress in the game.
Great, and that kind of part of it is something where we're again putting a lot of thought in and ideating, and we'll share more details on that further down the line. I think there's enough to digest in today's announcement. Before we kind of kick off to the outro, I'd quickly like to add a few other things that we'll be sharing in our blog in a little more detail. So for all the K-League fans, we found a solution to a live K-League coverage. We won't go into the details. Like, people who are, very attached to K-League will know the challenges that we faced last season, and we're really happy with the solution we found. Essentially, we've partnered with a new data provider, and we've built that into our system, so there's a lot of kind of back-end work on that, and we've tested it and run it a few times, and we're kind of really happy to be able to bring the K-League back to its former glory in that state. Also, we saw recent feedback, with managers obviously, a little bit frustrated that we didn't share our coverage plans, kind of like with more forward-thinking coverage plans, if you like, for competitions. So in the blog today, you'll see our coverage plans for the next 6 months as well. And then there'll be a few other little bits in terms of what you can expect in the next coming weeks, that for things that aren't directly connected to today's announcement. So to recap quickly, what we shared there was our August vision, and also the transition state that we've put a lot of thought into. Kind of the 3 key pillars of what we want to achieve is, simplify, rewarding the progression, and also ensuring that there's a certain kind of consistency and celebration around the rewards that our managers win. I think before we go to the outros, maybe Nico, you're always great with these kind of big sign-offs and like sneak peeks for our community. Is there anything you want to throw out there?
No, I think that the summer is going to be very busy. Of course, with the new gameplay that we're going to introduce, but also because the sports agenda is busy, right? With the Euro coming in June, and then the Olympics, and in so. Paris. Exactly, for the Olympics. So we are very excited about this. Of course, we're going to celebrate this. I believe that for the Euro in particular, Rivals is a very good product. Rivals is going to look very different from what it is today, of course, by then. And so yes, we're going to push a lot. We're going to also do our first mainstream ambassador campaign with a big one, and we are very excited about this as well. And I believe like all the changes that we've made in the recent months and that we're gonna do in the coming months. To put us in a position to to embrace new casual fans that gonna complement our existing community.
Yep, it's I'm excited because I know what's coming, but I keep tight-lipped, obviously. But yeah, it really feels like all the pieces to the puzzle are coming together, and
it's coming together.
Yeah, it's coming together, and we're in for an exciting summer. As always, I think we should thank the community as well for your feedback. A lot of the decisions that were made today and how we're announcing and all that was with our community in mind, and also how we've ramped up a lot in terms of our user research, focus groups with kind of a wide range of managers, because the manager types is growing, which is great to see. Quickly, so thanks for tuning in for all of this kind of casual chat. I hope you didn't mind our setup, maybe the designers would have done some cool stuff around here. Like, is there a ball there? I don't know. If there isn't, then I'll share their Twitters and you can tag them. So we've posted 2 blogs. So there's one blog that focuses on the high-end vision, what's getting us to the high-end vision for August, and then the other blog goes into the details of our transition. We're also going to post a third FAQ, like kind of live FAQ. So because there's so much happening, we're sure there's going to be some questions for managers that maybe we didn't address properly. So we'll maintain this over the next couple of weeks and update it as frequently as possible to kind of offer answers to any questions we might not have anticipated. Hopefully we'll have covered most stuff. Thanks a million for your time. I think it's goodbye from myself for now, Nico and Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and very excited for the next steps.
Me too. Goodbye, everyone.